Hi everyone, welcome back to Storytime Recaps. In this video, I'm going to recap one of the films from 2021, Below Zero. Without any further, let's get started. The movie opens on a rainy night in the country with a young man named Chino being trapped by a man who is out to get him. Chino begs for forgiveness, stating that he has no idea where the guy's daughter is. However, the father shoots him, knocking him unconscious and buries him alive in a shallow grave. In the following scene, we meet Martin, a police officer on his first day of work. He has been given the important task of moving multiple prisoners that evening. After meeting Montesinos at the station, another officer who would help him with the transfer, they head to the maximum security facility in the city, where they discover that 6 prisoners will be transferred, including Ramos, who has a secret lockpick hidden in his cell. After gathering the prisoners, the officers examine them thoroughly to make sure nothing is hidden. During the search, Montesinos acts aggressively toward Nano, a young prisoner who has been misbehaving. After the search, each prisoner is loaded onto the transfer vehicle and placed in their own cell. Their handcuffs are taken off, except for 2, Mihai and Ramos, because Montesinos is extremely cautious with them. Before they board the vehicle, there is a small disagreement regarding morals because Martin is strict about the laws, while Montesinos is more brutal with the prisoners. During the trip, Martin will operate the vehicle and Montesinos will watch over the prisoners in the back. They have walkie-talkies and a camera to keep an eye on the prisoners. On their journey, a police car accompanies them for extra protection, and as they drive on a remote road through the woods, a mysterious man places a spike strip across the road. Inside the truck, in order to calm the prisoners, Montesinos requests that Martin increase the temperature. Later, when Ramos asks to use the restroom, Montesinos lets him out and takes off his restraints for a short while, allowing Ramos to get his lock tools out of his hiding place. As they proceed farther into the woods, the fog grows thicker, and Martin loses radio communication with the police car as well as sight of it. He begins to panic, but they are forced to halt when the truck strikes the spike strip. When the prisoners begin making assumptions about what is going on, Montesinos leaves the prisoners alone to look into it. Ramos takes advantage of the situation to uncover a hidden hook and string, which he uses to take off his handcuffs and unlock his cell door. Martin becomes concerned when Montesinos doesn't come back, and as he exits the truck, he discovers Montesinos dead. When the mysterious man suddenly begins shooting at him from the woods, Martin seizes Montesinos' keys and hides. He discovers that the 2 officers in the escort car are also dead. Martin tries to shoot back, but runs out of bullets. He rushes back to the transfer truck and gets shot in the thigh. He then tries to call headquarters, but is unsuccessful. The man begins firing at the truck, destroying the windows, and the truck refuses to start. Martin hides in the back of the truck with the prisoners and uses a first aid kit to bandage himself. When the prisoners ask him what's going on, Martin remains silent. Suddenly, they hear an electric drill sound. The man is attempting to drill his way inside, but the truck's thick armor prevents him from succeeding. When Martin looks at the CCTV footage, he notices that the man has broken into the driver's seat. While he is distracted, Ramos breaks out of his cell and attacks Martin. They fight until Martin draws his gun. Martin asks Ramos if the man is a buddy attempting to break him out, but Ramos denies this. When Pardo, another prisoner, discovers that his seat is soaked in gasoline and that his cell is on fire, Martin reaches for a fire extinguisher and begs Ramos for assistance in opening Pardo's blazing cell, but it's too late and Pardo has already burned to death. While Martin deals with Pardo, Ramos releases the other prisoners, including Ray, whose cell is also starting to burn. Now that all of the prisoners are out of their cells and outnumber him, Martin points his gun at them and threatens to shoot them, but the man interrupts by saying through Martin's walkie-talkie that he will release the prisoners if they open the door. The gangster, Mihai, is seduced by the offer and goes up to Martin, but the prisoners don't trust the man and attack Martin. During the altercation, the key drops on the ground and Martin flees to the opposite side of the truck to avoid their attacks. During this time, Mihai discovers the key on the floor and heads for the door, But Nano, the youngest prisoner, grabs the fire extinguisher and beats Mihai to death with it. Everyone is shocked, and Nano admits that he knows the man. He says that Miguel is a dishonest police officer who was expelled from the force, and Nano thinks that as long as they remain inside, they will all be secure. In an unexpected turn of events, Miguel uses the walkie-talkie to refute Nano's allegations, claiming that Nano is the one lying and that he is just after him. He threatens to kill them all if they resist, but promises to spare them if they give up Nano. He even brags about murdering Chino, Nano's best buddy, who was first mentioned at the beginning of the movie. To avoid getting involved in Nano's problems, the other prisoners try to take the key away from Nano and give it to Miguel. But when Nano swallows the key, he is knocked unconscious by one of the enraged prisoners. While this is going on, Miguel can be seen cutting some cables off the transfer truck and changing the wheels. When Nano and Martin return to consciousness, they discover that the other prisoners have locked them in a cell, and Miguel has turned off the heater and then the remaining electricity. Miguel then gets into the driver's seat and drives off. Ramis, who now has a walkie-talkie, uses it to talk to Miguel and tells him that Nano swallowed the key. He asks if they can kill and gut Nano, but Miguel says no, explaining that he needs Nano alive and only wants them to exit the truck so he can reach Nano. The transfer truck just becomes colder by the second without a heater and has no way out. Since there's nothing else to do but chat, Nano tells Martin that he and his best buddy Chino grew up together and that Chino was like a brother to him. He is shocked that Miguel could his best friend. In the meantime, Ramis and the other prisoners discover the hull and remove a toolkit. On the opposite side of the story, Montesinos wakes up with a gunshot wound to his waist but is still alive. He reports the incident to the police station by radio and gets into Miguel's car, which he saw nearby. Inside the car, he discovers a gun in the glove box, along with a number of pictures of a teenage girl and a news report about the body of a young girl who was murdered. It turns out that the girl was Miguel's daughter. Back in the transfer vehicle, the prisoners put Ray down the pit to look for a potential escape route. At the end of the tunnel, Ray locates a few screws inside the small area and begins to unscrew them. Suddenly, Montesinos arrives with Miguel's car and begins shooting at the transfer vehicle. Miguel then rams the car against the truck, scattering the people inside everywhere. Montesinos tries to move forward to avoid being rammed, but the truck keeps hitting the car until Montesinos collides with a tree. When Miguel stops the vehicle, Ray's head strikes an exposed bolt from the force. After that, Miguel exits the truck and observes Montesinos' death through bleeding. When he starts driving again, Ramis uses the walkie-talkie to notify Miguel that they have explored every possible way to get out, but that there is just no way. Miguel responds that as the sun is rising, this is Nano's final opportunity to come clean. Nano continues to insist that he has no idea what Miguel is talking about, so Miguel hangs up, ignoring Martin's questions. Miguel then drives to the center of a frozen lake, gets out, and begins shooting holes around the truck before leaving and waiting for the inevitable to happen. As the ice cracks, the truck begins to sink, and water begins to accumulate inside. Everyone inside panics, and it is only then that Martin discloses that there is a hidden hatch on the truck's roof through which they might escape. Ramis tries to open the lock to free Martin and Nano, but it falls in the rush, and another prisoner, Gollum, swims down into the icy water to retrieve it. Fortunately, they open the cell, but Gollum appears pale. They get ready to swim outside, but Gollum appears ill and passes away from hypothermia, so they are forced to abandon him. Since there is not much time left, Nano, Ramis, and Martin swim to the surface. Martin fails to make it to the surface, but fortunately, Ramis rescues him from the water before he drowns. Nano, meantime, flees for his life, not realizing that Miguel is pursuing him from some distance away. Ramis gives Martin CPR until the officer awakens. Following his recovery, Martin hears gunshots in the distance, prompting him to act quickly to protect Nano as a law-abiding police officer. Martin wants to pursue Nano, but Ramis, the prisoner, refuses to join him. After exchanging glances, Martin chooses to let Ramis go free in order to save his life. Martin wishes him luck, and they part ways. The officer then rushes toward the source of the gunshots until he discovers Miguel shooting at Nano from atop an abandoned building without yet striking him. Before it's too late, Martin sneaks upstairs to confront Miguel. When Martin asks what Miguel wants from this, Miguel recounts a story. His 13-year-old daughter, Sol, once went to a village festival where she met Nano and Chino. They got her intoxicated, repeatedly abused her, tied her to the back of their car, extinguished cigarettes on her, and dragged her to her death. After she died, they disposed of her body somewhere, but the police never located it. As a distraught parent, all Miguel wants is to know the location of her body so he can give her a proper burial. Martin reassures him that the law would fairly punish Nano, but Miguel disagrees. As a former police officer, Miguel knows the investigation was futile because there wasn't enough evidence to put the boys in jail, which has taught him that the judicial system is ineffective. When Nano starts to flee, Miguel shoots him in the leg. Martin then charges at Miguel, and the two men start fighting. Martin stabs Miguel's hand with a piece of glass he finds on the ground, then grabs the gun and points it at him. However, Miguel manages to sneak downstairs to continue chasing Nano. After reloading the shotgun, Martin decides to pursue them. He arrives to find Miguel beating Nano to death while interrogating him about the whereabouts of Sol's body. Nano remains silent, so Martin fires the shotgun into the air to stop Miguel. Taking advantage of the moment, Martin strikes Miguel in the head. The three are stopped when a police helicopter arrives. Thinking he is now safe, Nano boldly yells that he will never tell Miguel where he buried the girl before grinning viciously. When Martin sees this, he snaps and shoots Nano in the foot. He then pins Nano down and demands that he confess where Sol's body is. When Nano still refuses, Martin shoots his hand off. Finally, Nano breaks down and admits that he dumped the body inside a well in their village, giving Miguel long-awaited closure. Just as the police arrive, Miguel breaks down in tears from the intense emotions. Many days later, a retired Martin visits the police station to clear out his locker. He notices another officer calling a recruit by the name Montesinos. At the end of the film, Martin leaves the police department, likely having been dishonorably discharged for attacking an unarmed Nano. Yet, despite everything, he finds a sense of satisfaction in helping a grieving father confront the brutal death of his daughter. The movie ends there. Thanks for watching, and